At 30-23, currently 6th in the Eastern Conference. As we mentioned, no Fred VanVleet tonight. Left groin soreness. He was outstanding once again last night, the All-Star. Here's Gary Trent Jr., the three, right on time.
And you love how you said right on time. The pass was right on time, right on target. Gary Trent Jr. had nothing to do but to pull up and make that.
Up a little bit.
Tighten up, make him execute a little faster. But look, as soon as you come off the double screen, the pass is waiting there for you. It's like a quarterback and a receiver, perfect timing pattern.
Game 3 of a 3-game road trip for the Toronto Raptors. Are 2-0 on this trip. It started in Charlotte. They made a deal today, acquiring Montrezl Harrell in his 3rd season, a 30th pick by Milwaukee in 2019. Spent 1 year at USC playing for the Trojans. There's Achua. And Achua banks it in, 5-point game.
Very explosive.
Banton with Trent Jr., Siakam, Anunoby, and Boucher. And a whistle. And he jumped right into it.
And if you ever watch Gary Trent, he likes to sometimes kick his feet.
Houston up 9 early on. Here in Toronto with our crew. And the Raptors will return home. We'll be in person on Saturday night. Delano Banton ahead to Trent Jr. with a slam dunk.
And you love it. The Raptors dropped in a 2-3 zone. Confused.
Around the rim, offensive rebound, putbacks. He's got after it. Here's Trent Jr. Sidestep 3, and that's good. And Trent Jr., 40% three-point shooter over the last 10 games, averaging 25 points. Matthews, and that shot doesn't go. Banton with it. Raptors down 7. Banton pushing it, sends it back to Trent Jr. and get a dime. Delano Banton. Trent Jr. knocks it down. He's got 13 of the Raptors' 24.
And I think we're all happy to see him out there doing his thing tonight.
Boucher with the free throw. Thanks, Amy. And we'll check with her throughout the course of the broadcast as Trent Jr. lays it up and through. It's a 2-point game. 19-year-old rookie who was the MVP of the Turkish Basketball League last year at 18 years of age. Anunoby, Barnes, Trent Jr., Boucher, and Banton, and that bucket is good, and now we're tied. All that work by Kevin Porter Jr. There's a turnover. You just stick with it, and you take the lead. Not used. Tate right to the bucket.
And they have players that can get their own offense. It's just about them being consistent and growing how to do it in a winning way.
Barnes a 3, and it rattles around and through. 32.5% from three-point range. At that time, Clutch City.
Yep.
Here's Pascal. Trent Jr. hop step. Back shot. Got it. Plus the foul. And Trent Jr. to the free throw line.
And you know what that does, right? Pascal Siakam, he had an opportunity to finish that play, as you see him. He's right at the basket, but he's looking for his teammates. And knowing that you're going to run the floor, you're always going to provide him an opportunity because he's going to attract so much attention. And by him having confidence, giving that ball up, Gary Trent Jr., OGs, Fred, these guys are to continue to run and be there for him. And he's doing an excellent job of facilitating, being unselfish.
Raptors
it shows
now.
It's like day and night. And to Alvin's point, I mean, Pascal's numbers are great, but it's his leadership too, right? He is leading by example already, of course, with these 14 points.
As Trent Jr. is at the line and the foul's on Şengün.
Championship year, not playing to people's standards, you know, the bubble playoffs.
Green has 10 points. Raptors up 63-54. Here's Trent Jr. the 3. Got it. Largest lead of the night for the Raptors, 66-54, and a 23-7 in that first half. And these are the sort of nights that you need players like Precious Achiuwa as Trent Jr. knocks down the 3. Really elevate their game, right?
I was in 10th grade.
80-73, Raptors by 7. Trent Jr. on the take and the make.
Let Gary Trent mixing it up. Shoot the 3 and get to the
9 points. Pascal Siakam.
Houston has 2 young, explosive guards. And that's just an old man schoolyard move right there. Post up a little bit.
Here's Wood, gives it up. Tate cut off, puts it on the deck. Driving and over top of Boucher, doesn't go. And Trent Jr. with it as he'll dribble it across the timeline now. Sprinting ahead, and great job by Trent Jr. just baiting. And a foul on Banton.
As you mentioned, just baiting. Watch. Look at him just watching. Now I'm explode and get right to the rack. That's something, you know, you talk about offensively, changing speeds and changing directions. If you can master those 2 things on the offensive side, with or without the ball.
Trent Jr. and Toronto with a 7-point lead. They've already put up 91. Boucher trying to get involved. He's got 6.
And good breakdown by Gary Trent Jr. Had the mismatch, got into the paint, and a nice drop off for Boucher.
Green with it. Sengun rolls. Green, stutter step, Barnes right there, and a turnover.
Opportunities to make easy shots.
Trent Jr. with Christopher on him, gives it up. Boucher lets it fly right on time.
Almost caught Pascal slipping right there. That's the box out. That was almost a poster again.
Trent Jr. knocks it away from Wood. Drives and finishes. The and one.
Once again, it starts and it finishes on with the defense. That's going to help you get out. That's going to put them in different positions, compromising positions, get a foul, and you get the and one. But once again, it has to be with the defense.
Season best 36 for Gary Trent Jr. How great has he been for the Toronto Raptors? He just turned 23 years of age. I mean, what a deal a season ago for Toronto. What he brings defensively.
Excellent effort by Kim Birch, getting on the floor for a loose ball and get another steal right here.
Malachi gets it back. Trent Jr. Good night, Houston. Second career 40-point game. Batted away. Flynn takes it. Toronto Raptors are going to improve as Trent Jr. takes it right to the bucket to 31-23. And their 7-game win streak is going to move to 8 consecutive. And Trent Jr. with a big-time 3 to put it on ice.
Right there, getting the loose ball. Malachi Flynn doing a good job of hustling. Gary Trent right in the right place at the right time. There's the energy that the Raptors need to close this game out. Doing a good job getting turnovers.
For the Raptors, and a season best 136 points in 42 from number 33. What a night in H-Town for Gary Trent Jr. He deserves that off day tomorrow.